Hello, Wiki peeps. So great to see you again. We had a question come up Saturday in our WikiTree LiveCast and wanted to address it today. So the question was, how do you upload an image to a profile in WikiTree? Well, it's pretty simple if you get right down to it. So I'm going to do some screen shares here. We'll bring up our profile we're talking about, which is Jedediah Morse Mitchell. Now, Jedediah, or Jodida, as you can see on her profile, it's an unusual name. And down below, the name likely comes from her grandmother, which she was also Jedediah. She was Jedediah Benson. So I want to go and I want to find some sources or records for this information, because right now all that's listed is an ancestry public member tree, which is okay, but it's not a source, it's not a fact. So I'm going to go over to Morse, to the research button, and we'll click through to the Roots Tech search, the Roots search integration. Emma Macbeth told me that if I backed out the double zeros here, that I would get a really good search. It'll come up with the information I'm looking for. So we want to go to family search. So we'll click into family search and we'll pop up with Jedediah Morse. And we see there's a record here that's from the Vermont Vital Records from 1760 to 1954. We see that that it's a marriage record for September 1818, and it's in Norwich, Vermont, United States. Spouse is Ezra Mitchell. Now over here to the right, you see there's a view record details. There's also a picture of a camera. So if we click on her name, it'll show us that there is an actual image of something here. That does not look like a marriage record to me, but you never know. Over here to the left, you see all the important information about it that you can add. And also the very important citing this record, which is going to come in handy in a minute. So let's go and take a look at this record, see what we've got. And what we have is a marriage record in the town, Norwich, Vermont, and Jeremiah, the town clerk's signature. And up the top, it has Ezra Mitchell as the groom, and Jedediah, spelled with an E, Jedediah Morse, and the residence of the groom is in Norwich, Vermont. Gives a marriage date of September the 21st, 1818. It also gives the name of the person who officiated the wedding, John Slifer, I can't even, Junior Johnson, Justice of the Peace, Staples. Not sure about how to spell that name, but or pronounce it. But we definitely do know Ezra Mitchell and Jedediah Morse were married, and this is the date. This is not the original marriage record, but it is a town record for this information, which was transcribed probably from the original. So we can use this as a source. But what we want to do is we want to take a portion of this image, or all of the image. Probably, if you take all of the image on some of the sources that you get, you won't be able to fit them nicely into a profile page. So the first thing I'm going to do is go up here and use my snippet, and I'll show you how to get a hold of that. On a Windows computer, you can go down to the Windows tools. Let's see here, Windows accessories, click on the accessories, and then scroll down to the Snipping Tool. And the Snipping Tool is a really cool tool. It lets you cut out a portion of your document. So here's what the Snipping Tool looks like. And what I want to do is I want to go to New, and it'll give me a kind of a faded background. Now it doesn't, this card is on a cockeyed cockeyed angle, so it's not going to be perfect, but we can try and make it perfect. So I'm going to cut out the section that I want. I'm not going to take the whole thing. It might be interesting to have his name, but just for right now, we're just going to cut this portion out just because we want to add it to her page. So I'm going to save this as Morse on my computer, and we're going to name it Jeddah, just so I can keep track of who it is. And I don't have a place to put it specifically, so we'll just drop it into one of the main things. So we've done the cut, the snippet. Now we're going to go back to Jeddah's profile. Now across the top here, there are several tabs that you can click on to do things. There's one here called images. So we're going to pick on the images. You can also find images. I think that's the only way to do this for right now. So we want to click on that, and it will take us to images for Jeddah Morse Mitchell. The F could be somebody is in the chat. We've got a couple of people hanging out in the chat, and thank you for the T. Could be an F. Somebody was reading the record to see if they could figure out what that name was. So back to the images. So right here it says, do you have a photo or source image to upload? And you can click to upload it. So we go to this. We're going to choose the file and location, and this is the file that I just downloaded to my computer. So I'm going to go to that folder, and I'll scroll down to Morse. And let's see. Lots of W's. Beal, Hunter, Morse, Jeddah, and here's going to be our record. So I'm going to click on it, click open, and you notice that the file has been added here. So we want to go to enter the source information. Remember I said the source information is going to be perfect. So you want to close the actual image. It'll take us back to the record, and you can cut and paste from Family Search here the exact source. So there's a great source. And I like to put the link to the source image into brackets so that it shows up as a numerical indication on the profile. So the title is going to be Morse, comma, Jeddah, marriage. And if I was loading this to Ezra Mitchell, her husband's profile, I would put his title in there too. But I'll show you a trick about doing that. The location was in, where was that location? It was in New Vermont, Norwich, Vermont. So we'll go back to that. So it's in Norwich, Vermont. And the date of the wedding was September the 21st, 1818. It's incredible. We have great sources that go back that far. So I'm sure, because this is coming from the town clerk in the vital records for Norwich, I'm going to click certain there. It's September the 21st, 1818 is the exact date for that record. We'll click that it's a source. It's not a photo. It's a picture of a source. And then we'll click Upload Image. That'll take us to the next page. In this next page, it'll show us that we've got the citation in here. It'll show us an image of what we'll see. It also shows that Jeddah Morse Mitchell is the main person that this profile is associated with. Now I can get her husband's WikiTree ID, which is going to be Mitchell 1300. Let's grab it. And I can add him to the image that we're adding. So if I click add for, in this image, Jeddah Morse Mitchell, if I want to add her husband, I can go right down here and add his WikiTree ID, go down here and click save, and it'll save. And when we come back up, you'll see that Ezra Mitchell is also listed as a person who is connected to this source. So now what I want to do is actually put that source into the profile. And there are two ways that you can do that. I can set this, or three ways actually. I can set this as the primary photo for Jedida, and I don't really want to do that because it's just a source document. So I unclick that, and I scroll down here, and to use it inside the biography section, go to the Use Inside Text area, and you're going to grab a snippet of code, which is just like cutting a snippet of a photograph. You're going to grab a snippet of this code by copying it and pasting. You can either use that, and this will give you just the picture with the information, but this one is a little bit more parameter friendly. You can take this snippet and add it to the page, and you can change whether you want it to be on the right, left, or center, and you can make it large, medium, or small, and you can make it larger, bigger, medium, and bigger, small by using lowercase and uppercase. So we're going to cut and paste this information into Jedida's profile. That's hard to say. Say that 4 times. So here we are back on Jedida's profile. We want to go into edit mode. We'll scroll down and I want to add this in here. So this shows her name is an interesting contemporary typo. So we're going to add this right here. Oftentimes when you put in an image, you want to add a line break so that it doesn't, because if you're trying to set it, go to the right or to the left or in the middle of the profile, it'll run into the next verbiage. So you want to make sure that the verbiage is separated. So I'll put in a couple of line breaks here, and then we'll go up and we'll fix this up. So I want to go have it in the center, and I think the large size, small case large size is going to be a good size. You can play with that to see what works for you. And we're going to put in a caption here, and we'll put in marriage card from town records. It's not the actual certificate, so just want to make sure that we have that information correct. So now that we have that done, we'll go up here and we will click on the Save Changes. Now, a lot of times I will also put in the reference note here to add the citation to the information, the one that we got from Roots, from Family Search. So I add the citation so that it also shows up in the biography. And we'll add the ending reference tag on that. Take away the extra period. I've done some changes, so I want to make sure that I add a description of what I've done. I've added an image of marriage record and citation so that you can go back behind me and verify the work that I've done by seeing what I've done. You can see all the changes in the Changes tab. So let's go to the new profile picture. Now you see that it took it as a primary photo anyway. That's all right. The information for that, because I said that this marriage record is also affecting this record, it's going to show up in the profile to the right. But here's what the now inserted snippet of the image looks like in the biography section. And here is the wonderful citation for that down here at the bottom. So now I have what was once an unsourced profile now has a source. Ancestry trees are wonderful things, but they are not commonly accepted as a primary source record for a profile. So now we have a source profile. Let's go over to Ezra's profile and see if this also auto-populated in his. It sure did. So you see the marriage information is right here. And I could take that same snippet of code that I used to add that information to Jedida's profile. I can take that information, a little snippet, go down here to the biography section and copy it all the way down to the line breaks. Hit Control-C in a Windows machine. I think it's something else in a Mac machine, Control-X. I'm not sure. I'm sure that Emma, who is in our chat, will chime in with that in just a second. And I'm going to go back to Ezra's profile, and we'll pop that into his, go into the edit mode. We'll pop it into his profile. Let's see, they got married in 1818. I always like to do things in chronological order. And so what we have here we have, oh, here's the marriage. Well, the marriage information was already there. So what we'll do is we'll take that. Good work that we had that. We'll take out the extra reference tag for the citation, since the citation is already there, but this will give us our great image for this profile as well. I'll put that into the changes and explain it. Here we go. Added the image. Let's look at Ezra's profile. Now Ezra married Jedediah Morse on September the 21st, 1818 in Norwich, Vermont. And that is appearing in 1818 is appearing above 1840 in the census. I wanted to point out, I mentioned this in the LiveCast on Saturday. A lot of times when I post a very early census record, often very early census records will only give the head of household's name and then numbers or ticks in the column showing how many people live in the household, not the names or their connection to their connection to the head of house. So we see here that they're very small, but it has under 5. There's one kid under 5 living with Ezra and his wife Jedediah in the 1840 census. Then we go children from 10 to 15, and then 16 to 20. And so you can see the information. And here there are 2 females. Let's see, there's females and males. So what I've done to enable, in order for anybody to be able to understand what you're looking at, if you just had the section that just listed all the ticks and the numbers, without the heading, you wouldn't know it. So I actually go in, and if the head of household is listed at the top of the census record, you can grab, as a part of that snippet, the columns and titles for the headings for that record. But if Ezra Mitchell appeared down the page quite a few entries, then you're going to want to take, you're not going to want to take the whole document and try and fit it in here. So what I did was I actually did 2 snippets. One snippet was of the column headings for the census, and then I lined them up. I tried to keep them at the exact same size as I did the census record so that they will line up on the profile like they do right here, and that worked out. I wanted to, really, that's basically it. So you've got some pretty nice profiles here with lots of great information. We'll go back to Jedediah's profile and we'll look at that again. So now we've got a great picture that we've added, or an image we've added. We've added a source, so this is no longer an unsourced profile. And down here we have a great citation for the source with a link to the image for the citation. Now, Emma did come through with me, and it's Command-C for copy and Command-V for paste on a Mac. And she also mentioned that doing a snip on a Mac machine, you do Command-Shift-4, and you can do a snip from there. That's our WikiTree LiveCast. I appreciate you stopping by, and we'll see you next time. Somebody else has a question that comes up in G2G or in a future LiveCast, I'll be glad to do a LiveCast Quickie to answer your questions. Thanks for everybody who jumped into the chat with me and answered questions for me, as well as asking a couple too. Have a great day. Bye-bye.